in light of the criticisms that were given on the authorization regime, make a more systematic use of RMOAs, so these risk management options upfront. It's a way to say that in some cases actually authorization might not be needed, so RMOA would actually come before. And for those who have worked with RMOAs from authorities, you know that they're a tool to sort of prioritize and decide whether it goes for authorization or restriction or another sort of another set of chemical legislation or regulation altogether. So here it's actually welcome that there's not this sort of systematic, SVHC candy list, boom, authorization, like that. There would still be discussions to consider. So we've been working on the chromates case, for example. This is a big example where it took years and years to come to the conclusion that maybe a restriction was better, and a lot of time was wasted, and now we're under a restriction process. The essential uses concept appears here. So for those who have followed this, would be this concept of getting blanket exemptions for certain number of uses that are basically essential to society. The criteria, it's still a bit in flux. If there's going to be a sort of one size fits all, how are you an essential use, or if you'll be able to kind of modulate it to your own case. But I think the advice we can give at the moment is whenever you're under an authorization or a restriction regulatory process, it's good to frame the defense of your substance under the essentiality argument already, because this is the language the Commission speaks. DML traffic light model, that's also, I think, an interesting proposal where, based on the minimal effect derived for your substance, you would have essentially modulated requirements applying to you. And we see that more and more in restriction proposals as well. So that's also something that would make sense to, if the Commission has this upfront in the regulatory option elaboration. So we could spend, we love authorization at the case team in REACHLaw because this is what we have done traditionally. So I could spend a lot of time on this slide telling you everything that's going to change. But I think it's interesting also to see that the Commission is trying to go through a more no-nonsense approach to try and tackle those that have large volumes, large number of users, and all those for which no alternative exists. So already at the prioritization stage, to avoid having those discussions later. How exactly they will implement that, it's still a bit our guess. We're not so sure, but at least the idea is there, and have some flexibility to exclude uses also more early on. So overall, to move a lot of the scoping discussions earlier and not have them, authorization application by authorization application, which has been happening in some of the cases.